Good morning, and this is now the third instalment of our video diary of our bus conversion. So where we're up to on this episode is we have now in episode 2 we stripped all the bus seats out and got the bus prepared for the VAS engineer to come out and do his preliminary inspection and a bit of a walkthrough to give us some guidance. So what we've done is we selected a VAS engineer in the town of Sale in East Gippsland, Victoria, which is only about 1 hour from here in Bairnsdale. So geographically, for a rural area, we were quite fortunate to find a good engineer that does bus certification so close. So we selected a guy called Steve Churches, a really good bloke, and he's come out. And part of the package, or the way that he actually works, is first off you have a bit of a phone interview with him where he'll ask you several questions about your bus project, what you want to do, and he'll give you some general guidance over the phone. The next step is that Steve invited us to give them a call once we had the bus stripped out. So what he wanted to see was basically our bus, all the seats removed, and the floor plan taped out onto the floor of the bus so that he could do a sort of like a walkthrough as a plan and have a look at where we've got everything laid out. He then also asked us to write up a list of questions that we may have, and we had probably the same questions that everybody else has, and that is first off, seating, what are the rules around that? That good old hot potato about outwards opening doors versus sliding doors versus bifold, etc., and a few other things. So anyway, we got the bus to that level, and Steve came out and. Basically, he gave us, first off, his company presented this pile of documentation here, which is really, really good information. What it is it shows you about what the rules and regulations are for Victoria, and please understand that we're all aware that there are different regs in different states, so they all have their own interpretation. So basically, it's a guidebook on what you can and can't do and where you need to actually fit. So what I had, the first question that I actually had for Steve was, let's talk about seats. And the advice that I got back was just as I expected. They needed to be Australian design rules compliant seating. So I was fortunate enough to actually pick up 2 sets of double seats with seat belts from a travel coach, only about an hour and a half's drive from here. So I probably paid a little bit more for them than what you could probably get them for elsewhere. I paid $120 per set, so there was 2 sets equaling 4 seats, so $240. The advantage I had there was I didn't have to pay for freight for these things to come in from interstate, so I made my money back that way. But the seats are really, really nice. There's no marks in them. I'm very, very happy with them. So Steve had a look at the seats and he goes, yep, these are all fine. So that was good. The next one was about seat mounting. What's the rules regarding that? And what we wanted to do was have 2 sets of forward-facing seats, or 1 set of rear-facing seats and 1 set of forward-facing seats, so that all 4 potential passengers are actually facing each other. He said that's fine, but you're not allowed to have any, while you're in transit, any tables or anything like that in front of any of the passengers. So that sort of poured cold water on the idea of using that double seating area as a dining area sort of thing. So what we've decided to do is we're going to leave both of our seats forward facing. So in short, the general rules were that in Victoria, the seats must be forward facing or rear facing. They cannot be sideways facing. Under no circumstances are there to be any tables or anything else that you can strike your head on or your body if you're involved in an accident. Also a general guide if there's something behind you like a bulkhead to protect you from flying objects through the bus. Not mandatory, but is highly preferred. The seats naturally must have seat belts fitted, got to be ADR compliant. The next thing that we got to is how we're actually going to mount these seats to the bus, because the seat frames didn't line up. So what we have to do is basically manufacture new legs for the bus seats, I should say, and these will actually be an adapter, and we'll go over that as a different video, but essentially we've got a little bit of fabrication to do. So we can't weld or modify the seat frame itself. If we do that, the seat then needs to be re-engineered, and that is just a whole lot more drama than what we really need or are prepared to go through. So we'll talk about seat mounting in a separate video, and we'll show you how we make up these brackets. The other thing was we got to the door. Now our bus has got a bifold door. Originally we were hopeful that we could leave that in place, but unfortunately it does have to come out. So what we're going to do is actually manufacture a new door. Once again, that will be a separate video. And we'll have part of the deal with that is that the glass inside the door has to be automotive glass. You can't use Perspex or just normal window glass, for example. There's a place in Melbourne that we found that actually does custom glass for automotive, and so we'll make contact with them in the coming days and see if they can help us out. But we'll be going for flat panels, and hopefully we'll get over the line with that one. The next thing was before we got too excited with going in there and start welding up frames for the beds and putting bulkhead walls in and all that, because our bus is 24 years old, it needs to have a frame inspection. And the frame inspection sounded very daunting. I'm thinking, oh, it's going to be a whole lot of stress and I've got to get engineers in or whatever. All the frame inspection is that all the panels internal to the bus need to be removed. So that includes the roof lining on the inside and the side lining underneath the windows. This exposes the frame, and what we're actually looking for here is rust, corrosion, fatigue, cracks in the welds, anything that may compromise the structural integrity of the bus. So later on today we'll start pulling all that paneling out, and that will be video number 4. Don't quite know what we're going to be up against there. Panels, we don't know whether they're glued in or anything like that, so this could be easy or it could be a nightmare for us. But anyway, we'll get through that. The final thing was, which is something that I actually overlooked, is emergency exits. So at the rear of our bus, we have the little red hammer thing, and the glass has got printed on it, emergency exit. And part of our initial design, when we looked at it, was actually going to occupy some of that window space for cupboards. But what you do need to do is have, wherever there are emergency exits, they need to remain in place down the rear of the bus as well. So if there's a fire, you can actually get out. And that kind of makes sense as well. One other thing, just getting back to the seats, was that there needs to be a equal to or more seats than there are beds. So as an example, if you have sleeping accommodation for 5 people, you need to have at least 5 seats in the bus. So 1 driver and 4 passengers equals 5 and 5 beds. You can't have three seats and 5 beds, for example, because that's just against the rules, and we all know that people would end up travelling sitting on the bed or asleep or whatever. So that's part of the rules as well. So anyway, we'll have a quick walk through, and basically we'll start pulling these panels out. But this is typically the first step of our engineering sign-off. So now we know what the rules are. So where we go from this is that we need to basically document everything that we're doing regarding how the bulkhead walls are attached to the bus, the frame inspection. We need to take photos of everything, clean up any rust, repair it, and make sure that it's okay. And that's assuming if there's any rust there, we might be okay. And we need to keep very, very good information with video and photos for the VAS engineer, because he'll actually need that as part of his folder for when he actually signs the bus off. One other bit of advice as well, which is pretty much common sense. The VAS engineer is there to make sure everyone's doing their job properly and to make sure that the bus conversions are safe. You just need to do what these guys say. They're the guys that are signing off. If the job's not done properly, then basically you're not going to get your ticket, and your bus will be sitting in the driveway forever. So anyway, that's it. That's the end of video number 3. Short, a little bit boring, but engineering, it's that discussion that needs to be had, and we've just had ours. So now I can get into it. See you on video number 4.